So guys, I recently did a video on the steps I take to tune my recurves. And I get the question quite often about where to start as far as arrows go. Now, arrow charts are a great place to start. Three Rivers Archery has a beautifully built dynamic spine chart, and you can put in all the details of your bow and all the details of your arrow. However, that is exactly what I said it is. It's a starting point. It's a place to start. Now, what I have found is that most spine charts are going to tell me I need a 400 spine. And for a lot of my recurves, that is what I run, a 400 spine. But 400 doesn't offer me flexibility because it's right there on being the perfect spine at full length. So it doesn't offer me flexibility in tuning my bow. And what I mean by that is if I want to shoot this 400 spine, which on my last two recurves, I shot 400 spines. If I want to shoot a 400 spine, it has to be full length and I have to run quite a bit of weight out front. I have to get out to about 200 to 250 to shoot a full length 400. Now on my Eichler takedown, my 400 had to be full length and I had to get upwards of 350 on the weight out front in order to get that bow to tune. And I just didn't like that. I didn't like the way the arrow was flying. I didn't like the way the bow was tuning. I just didn't like that. So what I found was when I dropped to a 500 spine, I had so much more flexibility. I could really play with the length. I could really play with the weight. I could play with different weights and lengths to get what I liked and to achieve arrow flight I want. So I would just tell you, start with a spine where you're going to have flexibility. Don't start with a spine where you're on the max one way or the other. If a 500 spine is going to force you to cut it as short as you can, and then you still have to go really light on the weight, you're not going to have a lot of flexibility there. So jump up to a 400 spine where you have flexibility to play with that. Vice versa, if a 400 spine is going to force you to be full length, and then you have to really crank out the weight, you're not going to have flexibility there, so you can't play with lengths and weights to figure out what your bow is going to like best. So start with the arrow that's going to offer you flexibility. So what I tell guys is if you put a 400 spine on your bow and you're already cranking out 200 grains in the field point and you're still getting stiff, just go straight to a 500. Because you can cut that arrow down and get to a 200 if you want 200 out front. Or if you want 125 out front, you can leave it a bit longer and have things to play with. Some guys have a desired arrow length they want to reach. A lot of that is based off of point-on shooting. If you're a point-on shooter, the arrow length affects that greatly. So a lot of guys have desired lengths they want to reach, and that's fine. And a lot of guys have desired weights they want to reach out front. So then they don't care how short or long it is. They just want to make sure they can shoot that 200 grain broadhead, which is fine too. But again, I would just encourage you to go with an arrow where you're going to have flexibility. If a 400 spine is always on that verge of being a bit too stiff, drop to a 500 because I can cut it to 28 inches and run heavier, or I can go to 29.5 inches and run it lighter and still get perfect arrow flight and just really figure out what I like to shoot out of that bow and what that bow likes. So guys, that's where I start. I start with a flexible arrow. If I end up in a 400 on that, full length, heavy out front, so be it. But I start at a flexible arrow weight that I can really play with and figure out what my bow likes. Guys, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, as always, reach out and I'd love to help you. But guys, thanks for watching. Y'all have a fantastic week.